Right. I'm pretty sure we are live. Someone in the comments, let us know if we're live. Apologies for the delay in starting. Technology is always wonderful. We're very grateful for it, but it doesn't always work. I could not be happier to have these two amazing gentlemen joining me today. We've got Ismael Perez and Huna Flash. And this is going to be such an amazing conversation with these two. We're used to saying brilliant minds, but I would say brilliant souls joining us. Sorry, I've got an echo. So, let's, without further ado, what I'd like you both to do, let's start with you, Huna. Introduce yourself for those of people in the audience. I'm sure everyone knows you, but just tell everyone a little bit about yourself and the purpose of the work you do.
Sure. Well, there's a lot of Hunas in that in your chat.
Yes.
But a lot of people that I do not know. So thank you very much, Huna Kawahore. Is that your Huna, Catherine? Kawahore?
Yeah, so, Kawahore, yeah.
Kawahore. And it's wonderful to meet you, Ismael.
Likewise.
Yes, grateful to be here. This seems to be an anticipated meeting. Let me say, in the new earth, it's been anticipated to connect and meet and start to really bridge things together, bridging our information and our memories and our remembering. I myself, Ismael, I am my Huna, or my light name, my light expression, because we don't have names, but my expression is Mauta Kumara Taki, which simply means let there be light. This is an expression. So we share, the expression is the action of light or the movement of light. And this is an infinite, of course, unlimited understanding. And so because I'm always moving around doing stuff, brother, all over in the form and in the formless, people have nicknamed me Huna Flash. And so that's where that comes in. But also now, Taki, the Mauta Kumara Taki, the Taki part also means lightning. It means flash in the Lemurian language. I'm born and raised in New Zealand of Maori descent. I am of Maori descent, which is the sub-tribes of Lemuria, first Lemuria. Okay, and I say first Lemuria, it's a particular moment. And so we are still here on this planet. We have been here for millions and millions of lifetimes, okay, and certainly known on many worlds as Lemurian. But and so what I share stems from the 4 moments of Lemuria through the 4 moments of Atlantis into our modern world. I was tutored in the mystery schools of Manuariki, which means the school of the special bird, by my elders I initiated over 30 plus years ago. But I awoke into the information and the sharing at age 6 and 7, where the Lemurian giants were in my backyard, which was a mountain range, speaking and talking and connecting. Of course, not just to myself, but as Maori, we are always connecting into our lineages. We're always constantly connecting to energies, vibrations, frequencies, and the magnetics. This is our life from a young age of 3. We are tutored to speak to who we are and speak the truth of who we are and share that information. And so my connection to the Lemurian giants, in particular, there's a particular tribe of giants known as the Rongo-Kako. Okay, Rongo-Kako. They are the ancient ancestor giants from first Lemuria, 600 million years ago. Of course, it's a lot more ancient than that. But I speak from the information as we've landed on the planet from that moment, as we come into being. over 600 million years. And so I have quite an extensive living library of the 4 Lemurias and the 4 Atlantises, and where they came in and went out, and all these changes that took place for all of the civilizations, including, you know, how they named certain civilizations. And also from all of that, from all the gathering, I suppose, over these past 3.5 decades, as I have been doing the work, that the gathering of all the informations are now put together so I can share it in a way. You know, a long time ago, I was asked to share, and I'm like, share what? I don't have anything to share. Neither do I want to. Yeah, I was a young shaman, a young Huna. Like, I don't want to share with anybody. I got work to do. I got things to go and do. But I found out over a couple of decades that it wasn't actually about me sharing. It was about what I was going to receive in the gifting from the journeys. And so my 3.5 decades spans traveling the world through the sacred grids and the sacred sites, clearing and doing and sharing the modalities of Lemuria, and also the operating systems of Lemuria. Now we come to this modern age now, where so many people are searching and so many are coming. There are so many that have been coming to the House of Huna. The House of Huna is my organization. And so many have been coming to receive an activation, an initiation of memory through service beyond self. And I always speak to service beyond self. And within the service beyond self, there's opportunities to have service for self through this action. And so we do a lot of traveling. When those are initiated into Huna through the Great Seal, many are attending locations and the work that I do, which is resetting Stargate frequencies, closing down the old and resetting the new, closing down access points from the second dimension, which is, to many of you speak of as the underworld. So shutting down access to these nefarious actions. So a lot of this has been taking place, but not only myself, many have been doing the work for a number of years, and we are starting to find each other, yeah, and we are starting to find each other, and I'm grateful for this channel and this new technology. I remember back in the day when I was first out doing processing and clearing. Especially in the Native American communities. I did a lot of work all over the Turtle Island, the Honumotu. And I would have to go in, help. And this was just word of mouth, right? And we never had, we barely had a phone back in the day, and we just had slow mail. But somehow word of mouth got around through the different elders and the different tribes. Oh, there's a Maori elder, he's coming this way, catch him, see what we can do. So I would show up, and then I would clear the property. We need help with our home or the longhouse. We're going to clear the property, help clear the families, and then we would have to I used to have to report it back to my mystery school, to my elders, and I would have to write all of the information: who was the lineage, what I did, how many in the family, who are the grandchildren, and all these things, and write it down, and then send the mail off. And then really the only Instagram I had was a Polaroid camera at the time, which was a big deal. So I would take an instant photo, and I would have a photo, and then I would send all that information off over to my elders, and then I wouldn't even know if it got there. But then I wouldn't know until maybe 3 or 4 months later. Yeah, we got your mail. Okay, thank you. All right. By then, there's already been many families that I've attended to over that short period. But now today, here we are, utilizing this very powerful technology of the telepathic system, or what I refer to as, and it can be, and I refer to this opportunity for this system to move into 24G, because I feel like we need a lot more power than this 5G to really bring all our information in so people can really receive it. Now, I'm not talking about the effects of the G forces, the effects of the microwaves, and all of these can be transmuted anyway. But we are now moving into an area where we are communicating nanosecond by nanosecond, instantly in the fractal, deep inside the primary, in our dreams, and in our walking states as well. So this technology right now to connect to everybody and connect to yourself, it's an incredible opportunity, people. It's an amazing opportunity right now. It's not just amazing to be here, because there's a huge lineup to trying to come into this planet and be here right now. A massive waiting list, right? Many souls and many beings. You see all these starships coming in and out of the stargates, going all over the place, trying to connect, coming in and out of phase, shifting phase, and all wanting to connect for this amazing moment. And it is not just like one moment, right? This is not just one moment. This feeling and this energy now is so infinite that there's so many moments coming into now, right? As many people as there are on this planet, just this planet, that is how many moments are coming into our reality and into our dream world right now at the fractal level. So I hope I haven't taken up too much time blowing myself up here, but share with you just so we can get started in here. So thank you very much. Welcome everybody from Huna Kawahori's channel and also from Brother Ismael's channel, and such a great opportunity to share. Thank you very much.
Wow, that was very fascinating, my brother. Very fascinating. Thank you for sharing that valuable information. I think, and you're right, you mentioned about the oral tradition. That is something that was always related to the ancient mystery schools. And before the dawn of organized religion, right, before the Cabal, or before the Dark Age took power, everything was based on word mouth, word to from master to student to Chila. There's different explanations to describe this, but it was all based on this oral tradition that could be actually traceable back to ancient Atlantis, ancient Lemuria. And it's interesting that you talk about the 4 different Atlantis and the 4 different Lemurias. Not a lot of people know about that, because it did go in phases where it had a golden age, and it would go into a dark age, and then it would have a golden age and a dark age. I think that's very fascinating to know, because not a lot of people know that these ancient civilizations have been around for, like you said, millions and millions of years. And it's interesting how it's all coming into culmination now. All the different timelines, right? All the different outcomes are all coming into this moment, what they call the 0 point, 0 point field, which is amazing. And this is where they all begin to collapse as one permanent timeline, depending on where our thoughts are, our emotions, where our vibration is. That's where we're going to be ending up in. So it's very fascinating information, my friend. And you mentioned the Lemurian giants. I never heard of the Lemurian giants. I heard of the Atlantean giants, which were actually the Nephilim, according to the book of Genesis, which were, again, the Titans, the very wicked group of men who used to be carnivores, who used to actually eat humans. But it seems to me that the giants of Lemuria were actually benevolent, and they were perhaps even vegetarian.
Yes.
Tell me more about the giants of Lemuria. I've never heard of them.
Okay, so here's a little kickstart in the language. Lemuria is popular and known. The expression of Lemuria, and actually in the Lemurian language, because it's a light language, with the Maori language, Mayan language, several indigenous cultural languages are the light language on the planet that are of the Lemurian expression in their various ways. So Lemuria itself is the expression that we feel that the true expression of Lemuria is Kimuria. This sound, Kimuria, which refers to, oh, you're back. Good to see you again. Give me a hug. Okay, so what is Lemuria's expression is what we're referring to as the first embrace or the embrace. And in this understanding, and with this expression, the beings coming from light into form were of course anticipated through several creation expressions, right? Until we were able to find the right mix, the ingredients to be able to house and store our source energy that required a large body to hold this energy. And so source energy, we required the giants. And so when I say the tribe of Rungo, this is millions of years before the Nephilim. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the Nephilim being of the story from what is it, Gemini? What is it? Genesis. Sorry. In the times of the experiments, in the times of the Garden of Eden, in the experimental stage, that's what those beings were, in my understanding. They were great. They were grandchildren, were descendants of the giants of the first embrace. So we speak to this race of giants as Rongo, which means those who stood for peace. The giants we stood for peace when we entered. And yes, certainly not non-carnivore, of course. As our expressions began to, I can just say evolve, if you like, but also we're in through the creation of many types of beings that were going to be holding source energy. The expressions had to be understood and known. What is it like to eat another being? That had to be known. What is it like to just be a vegetarian? What is the word for that? I forget what the word is for that. But yes, so we just had to learn and express these things as we came down through the millions of years of understanding. I won't say just evolution, because I understand that what our intentions and how powerful our intention is. I have a very strong understanding of that, and what we create and what we created. And we did create, once we were able to understand how we were going to harness the source energy into certain beings, we created beings. Okay. Mm-hmm. And we created them in the second dimension to come up into the third dimension, utilizing an element from the first dimension. Okay, so this pure dimension, this dimension of pure elemental energy had no intention at all. It was just pure, much in the way water is, until you put your finger in it and cause it to have a memory. Okay, which is known. Right, this is a Lemurian thing, and so first dimension. Then we bring the elements up to second dimension, and there's the mix happening in the second dimension, all kinds of beings being created. And our intention is placed there to create what we need to understand and bring into materialize in the third dimension, in the physical, to bring to the birthing stage. We're at a point now that we have had these lessons actually at least a few Atlantises ago, and at least one or two Lemurians ago. We had this already. Okay, but of course, how much more do we need to experience and learn, and how much more of it, and what percentage of this is manipulation and agenda? And so these things started taking place, and I might say more prevalent in the last 3 ages of Atlantis. Certainly Atlantis too, when it came into the Mesopotamia area and around there and over to Africa. So so the giants would, for me, from Kimuria, would be the ancient ancestors of the Nephilim. And the Nephilim didn't show up until the time of the garden, right? And the expressions of 6,000 to 10,000 years ago. We know that giants are still here on the planet right now. And from those experiments, they recently ran into one in Kandahar a few years back, which is a carnivore, so a Nephilim being. Yeah. These are just expressions, though, because just like a lion needs to eat is going to eat. A giant's going to eat what the giant's going to eat. But these beings were also from creations of experiments and interference and interruption as well. I don't know if I answered that question, but it's
interesting what you were saying about all that, Huna, because Ismael, your Instagram, if anyone isn't following Ismael's Instagrams, the links will all be below because it's absolutely brilliant. You put out very regular information on there. But I heard you this week, Ismael, talking about the rising from the sea or volcanoes of ancient civilizations. How does that fit into what Huna was just describing? I'd love you two to cover that.
Well, these are the lost 10 tribes of Israel. They are breakaway groups that are now hundreds and hundreds of years ahead of the surface world in technology and in spirituality. And so the main one goes back to the first age before Atlantis and before Lemuria, known as the age of Hyperborea. And the Hyperboreans have been around for over 50 million years. And that corresponds to the original angelic humanoid 12-strand DNA immortal, our original ancestors. Or also in esoteric tradition, that is the second root race. And so what they did is a remnant of the Hyperboreans after the cataclysm decided to go into the inner earth and preserve the tree of life, which is the tree that grants immortality. We hear about two trees in the book of Genesis. We hear about the tree of good and evil and the tree of life. Well, the tree of life is what connects us. It's what grants us immortality. And it has a lot to do with the activation of our light body, our untapped genetic material, the 12 strands, 32 strands, and up to 48 strands of DNA. And it is believed that the remnants of the Hyperboreans settled at the core of the earth and created or developed a city of gold. And the city of gold has been something that many secret societies have been, seeking. Even Hitler tried accessing the city of gold. Of course, he tried accessing the inner earth. But we're talking about a civilization that is older than Shambhala, that is older than Agartha, and it is connected to other civilizations that are also existing in the oceans. So we do have brothers and sisters that have developed the ability to actually breathe underwater. And this is where we get the concept of merman and mermaid. So we do have an advanced oceanic civilization. Actually, we have several of them that are coexisting in peace deep in the oceans. And we also have another civilization that is now activating over in the region of Antarctica, and they're all connected via this golden city. The golden city is like the central hub of these, parallel breakaway groups that are existing within the earth. And so due to the rise of the planetary frequency, it is believed that these civilizations are being forced to now come up. And many believe that that is what's causing a lot of the volcanic activity. So from a third dimensional perspective, we see it as lava, but from a fourth and fifth dimensional perspective, it's a beautiful, glorious civilization of gold. And so this also ties into the giants, not the giants of Lemuria, but the giants of the of Atlantis, the evil giants, the Titans, the ones that were ruled that were under the direction of Kronos being planet Saturn, and it is believed that they had been sleeping for thousands of years, and that they were programmed to awaken at the end of the cycle, which is any day now. So there's many rumors going around right now that the elites are trying to find where these giants are, because these giants are supposedly their progenitors. This is the progenitors of the Cabals, the Titans. And so, some people call them the elongated skull people. There's different interpretations, but they range from anywhere from 12 feet to about 36 feet. So they're huge. And this also ties in with the return of the guardians of the Hyperborean age, which surfaced during the times of Atlantis as the Olympians. And it is believed that now, through their descendants, the Olympians, because they did establish a bloodline after the fall of Atlantis, we see that bloodline throughout history as the line of King David, Solomon, and then Jesus and Mary Magdalene. And of course, whoever those descendants are, those are the third dimensional counterparts of the seventh dimensional Hyperboreans, or Atlantean heroes of old, whatever you want to call them. And they are believed that they're about to merge with their physical counterpart on the surface level to, again, strike down these Nephilim or these evil giants that on waking up, of course, they're going to try to, cause a lot of disasters and stuff. So that's what those are the downloads that I've been receiving in the last few weeks. And then there's many people out there in the disclosure community who actually have confirmed that a lot of, interesting things are unfolding due to the rise of these ancient civilizations and the reawakening of the Nephilim. So
just fascinating. I can't wait to hear yours.
If I could, and we don't have much time with brother, I would like to pinpoint. I'd like to pinpoint timelines here. Now we talk about first light, which is when Pleiades rises from the position of New Zealand and goes to the North Star. This is called the Matariki. We refer to Pleiades as it's 9 planets, and it rises from the moment the light touches New Zealand every season, or when it touches it rises to the North Star, to Toke. Now, we refer our alignment in Lemuria to counterclockwise rotation, and New Zealand was not always in that position where it is now, right? It's been in that position for over 550 million years, according to proper geologists and master geologists and knowledge. Before it was in where it is now, which is known as Lemuria, it was with Hawaii before there was a Hawaii in that location. So when it was in that location, that was the last time it was in that location was when Lemuria first began, which is on a mountain called Mo'au. This means the mountain of the world. And that location of Lemuria, first Lemuria. So I want to get this timeline to stick here because there is a movement in it, and I understand everybody's memories has these movements. This is first Lemuria, 650 million years ago, when New Zealand was with Hawaii together. There was no Hawaii, there was no New Zealand. It was known as Mo'au, which means the mountain of the world, and that mountain was 33 miles high. And our technology was created from zero temperatures at the top of that mountain, which is where now the remainder of Maui is in Hawaii. We don't have much time to get to all this, but so let me set this timeline, because the next time when Lemuria came down 100 million years later, 150 million years later, New Zealand shifted to its current location. And then the birthing of Turtle Island and what you know as Western Europe, Ireland, England, and the UK started birthing. That's known as Second Lemuria. And that was 300 million to 400 million years ago, when Ireland and Wales were a mountain. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I've been there. I've been to Dingle Harbour. I've been to the caves. I've been to the mountains, and I've studied those things. And the stone which the Stonehenge was created from when Wales and Ireland was one mountain. This is the movement of the mountains I'm referring to. When the movement of the mountain, the blueprint mountains, shifted 4 times, it is now in the location more known as the Himalayas, which is part of third and fourth Lemuria. This is spanning 600 million years before Atlantis even began. And so the languaging of Hyperborea doesn't come into play until second Atlantis, because that's an Atlantean language. You see, so when we talk about having the languaging that you're sharing and others have been sharing, it doesn't match the timelines of Lemuria. It does match certain things that happened, earthquakes and the movement of the tectonic plates, Papatuanuku moving around, in other words, or the Nara dragon, which is the earth dragon, the 2-headed dragon that shifts all plates we spoke of, which is another Lemurian being. That the 5 out of the 5 root races, the names, certainly expressions, again, if it is to be back to light source with before confusion, then there is light expression beyond names. In other words, the Atlantean language which is distorted and carried light distortion, needs to move back to Lemuria to come back to the place before confusion. And we reset our timelines. Now, Sanat Kumara and the Kumaras, which simply means the crystal of the light of days, was set in position Shambhala. And Shambhala was set 60 million years ago when we were just coming out of our wars from Lemuria 4. See, there's a reason. I live in Mexico here in the Yucatan, and I moved here 5 years ago. I'm now a Mexican resident. But the reason I moved here is before the civilizations of Atlantis and the Mayans and the Aztecs, this was Lemuria 4. And at the time when we were at war, we were warring from the wars of Orion. The Orion wars lasted a long time. And there were different times that we kept coming back in the Vegan wars, the Lyran wars, and these star systems, right? Now, Lemuria 4 was the moment when the Gulf of Mexico was created, okay? This was not a natural occurrence. This was the comet was a weapon, and we were at war, and many times we were able to use star systems and planets as weapons. We could throw them around all over the universe. And this is what was happening. Many star nations were warring, and they were using kinds of technology. Now, when the Gulf of Mexico was created, which was over 60 million years ago, this is when the Kumaras came in and proclaimed that Lemuria 5 will return. But it will be the last time Lemuria 5 will come after Atlantis falls. And so Atlantis spread across 60 million years after 65 million years, and these last few million years of Atlantis civilizations, we have the languaging of Hyperborea, Olympia, the Greek and Roman language, and these are draconian languages. These are brought in from the Anunnaki and the Archon expressions through the DNA. They operate at the 10-strand DNA, right? As you know. Which is tutored through the Kabbalah, okay, in a little place called Savat in Jerusalem, where I did go to speak and confront the rabbis. We sat and we had meetings with the rabbis to talk about these things, and so over this period, these names and the experiments at the garden and the Garden of Eden laboratories. The DNA of the Anunnaki and the Draconians and expressions were input into the DNA which is the Europeans now, and it happened a long time ago. We're certainly helping it to move out of the 10-strand and activating the 12 and the 24 for sure. And I have a lot of work. I'm part of this too as well, located on the planet with the stargates. There are 48 stargates in the New Earth system, which is known as the Motu grid. Now, the Anunnaki talk about what you were talking about, the giants coming back and now clearing the space of the old, and the beings coming back to clear the space of and the energies of the old, is the Anunnaki actually, and we did work on this physically at a location, and one of those locations was the Tall Tower in Glastonbury, to move a large level of dimensions, 10 dimensions of the Anunnaki, moved into the higher birth sign grids, into the light containers. And only a few remaining dimensions of the lower dimensions of the highest of the tiny lords remained to be worked on over this past 2 decades. And so the Anunnaki, the higher lords of the lower realms, removed the Anu. We removed the Anu and removed it and brought them back to the blueprint in the languaging of Lemuria, which is Naki. Now, Naki means the force, energy, an abundant of light source energy, Naki, which is now being lended back to the light workers and the source work and the beings of light now. So Anu is which refers to the people on the beings on the earth. Anu refers to the beings that have landed on planet. That has been cleared, and now the Naki are coming back in, and people are certainly might have memories of this, but might even recognize them as Anunnaki. But and there may be some of them still remaining, but mostly the energy of the Naki is now working for the light in the second dimension. This is some of the work we do in the second dimension to know these things. We go to the second dimension. We go to portals and alignments on the grid to go there and physically take a team there, and we go in. And so some of this languaging of Hyperborea, and that comes from those times of the manipulation of the DNA. And can I say it be trusted? Not that it needs to be trusted or to be, but it's certainly this conversation you and I are both having. We are to bridge the worlds. Okay, we are bridging worlds here, and I'm not judging anything you're saying, because it's absolutely needs to be said, and it's a good start to get our conversation to start bridging in. And these timelines are very important, certainly because of the 48 stargates that are being set up within the Motu grid and the Lemurian birthing system, which we are moving towards. And that is directly related to the 48-strand DNA. Certainly, I work with activating the 24-strand DNA as the basis of merging of the masculine and feminine, 12 plus 12, around the one. And so, I agree with some of the things you're saying. I think so we work on some of these timelines. Sorry, Una, what were you saying?
Just that I'm very conscious that Ismael's got a very, very important deadline to go to.
Yeah,
that's
very
brilliant information. I just want to make sure Ismael gets a chance before you have to go.
This is very fascinating and interesting, because I am aware of the 48 strands of DNA, 24 strands and 36 strands. Let's continue this conversation at another time, my friend.
Yeah, we do need more time now.
Yes, I apologize for the short notice, but I do have to attend to a family matter.
If before you go, if I could, I would like to invite you to my channel, Huna Flash TV, at some stage. Is that possible?
Sure. Yeah. Just have Catherine give you my contact, and you could reach out to me.
Fantastic, brother. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So much, and we do appreciate you hopping on, because we know that you've got something very, very important to attend to. So don't worry, Huna and I will continue, everyone in the chat, and Ismael will be back again soon. You just press the leave button, leave studio at the bottom, Ismael, when you need to go. And thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Your family.
Likewise. We'll talk to you guys later.
Bye. So Ismael has got something very crucial on a family matter that he needs to deal with, which must always take priority. So that was just beautiful to hear you two brief, and we'll definitely get you back again together, Huna. But we've got some really great questions in the audience now. So please do. Now, we had a question. Please write your question about the astro travel. There's someone has been asking several times about the astro channel. Please write that question again, and we will find it. So astral projection. I'm going to go back, and hopefully the chat will write the question again, because he's been asking it a lot and it just wasn't part of things. What do you know about astral projection, Huna, and how relevant that is to people? And we've got some people asking questions about, they seem to be doing astral projection not voluntarily.
Yeah. Okay, I won't say don't do it. Kind of like I just did.
Here we go. Thank you, Vital Signs. Here's the question.
You accidentally astral projected before you sleep. Is that what she says? Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's right.
So if it's an accident, you're not knowing what you're doing. Now, we must be aware at all times right now, ladies and gentlemen, sweet, sweet dear ones, sweet dearly beloveds. We must be aware at all times. Okay, so there are some activations or initiations that need to take place, an expansion of your voltaic system, which governs your electrical system. This system does connect to your travel projections, astral or otherwise, in the dream state. Also, if someone is taking over your system and sending you out there in the magnetic field, you're quite susceptible. you're susceptible to any kind of attacks or convergences that are taking place there. I don't know what your experiences are, or maybe these astral travels have been good or bad. But if you are saying it's an accident and you don't know what's going on, that's the number one thing there. Always understand where you are on the planet and in the space. So there is some maintenance work to do, sweet dear ones. All right, there's some maintenance work to do here, expanding your electrical field so that things don't just happen accidentally. And if you are receiving information and connections from other beings, let it be that your capacity and your ability to allow energies to come in does not disturb you in any way, but that you can overpower that with your. And it's not just the intention, ladies and gentlemen. You do require expansion of your electrical system and your vibration fields to be confirmed. This is some of the homework you're gonna have to do if you haven't been doing it. And if you have been doing some of these things and you're still having accidents, well, then obviously something else has to be sorted out here. And so what do I think of that? I don't accidentally astral anywhere for nobody's reason, okay, unless I want to go. And I do go to a lot of places. So is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? You need to give more information on that. But I would say to you, not ever accidentally do anything that you're not in control of. You must have command and control of all of your facets, all of your 9 senses and your systems, yeah? And astral travel is also in the magnetic field, right? So when you're in the magnetic field, you are susceptible to all kinds of emotional states. And these emotional states and the 9 senses are very physical beings, okay? So in other words, love is very physical. Hate is very physical. They take manifestation into a physical form and can, and the feeling of the love or the feeling of being attacked. So you must be ready for these things. Yes, being hijacked in the astral field. That can happen if things are just an accident to you. You obviously got hijacked.
I think that's great advice. So it's really good. Vital Signs is saying it's easy to tap out of, and it's an accident. Since I'm half awake, I can tap out by shaking out. So I think that advice that Huna's given is really pertinent. And like anything, if it's something that you want to develop into a skill, gaining control of it is absolutely essential. We've got a really good question here, Huna, from a similar question has come up in different ways from different people, but same meaning. From Danny, how can you tell the difference between your own thoughts and planted ones?
Okay, it's not just the thoughts and planted ones, although these might occur. Where are you? What are you doing at the time? Is this during the dream time? Are you at work? Are you working on something? Are you creating something at the time? And if the thoughts between your own thoughts and planted ones, again, be ready and prepared to receive. So perhaps if you're getting thoughts and they're being planted between your ancestors are connecting to you. Do you know the difference between your ancestors and your own thoughts? Because remember now, we are not alone, okay? We can receive energies in any way we decide. And so if these thoughts are being planted and coming into you, perhaps the ancestors are helping you with something. But if it's somebody that is malevolent, surely you can discern from, what that is between that and benevolence. And does it do you service? And does it do the collective and humanity service? Okay, so what are the thoughts? Okay, how can you tell the difference between your thoughts and planted thoughts? It's very difficult to tell the difference between, because what state are you in? Again, nothing enters into me, not one anything, unless I'm going to allow that. Okay, so the difference between them is I feel an emotional connection or a vibration. Can you feel the vibration? Is it good vibration? Then if you're of the highest intention, those thoughts don't belong to you, right? I would say if it was of the highest intention in the highest vibration and they were planted into you, yes, they could be known and understood as assistants. I call it sometimes technical support. Technical support's coming to you. Can you tell the difference between technical support and when you're being attacked and when it doesn't serve the highest vibration and your intentions, right? What are your intentions? Are you constantly thinking about malevolent things? Are your intentions not of the highest, or are they of the highest? Do you know the difference between you and the way you send your intentions out there? What you're bringing to the world? That's a key part. You've got to practice at this, people. It's time to work out now. You got to get in the gym, right? You got to get in the gym now. But that's a good question because it is very difficult. And it's a fine line between dimensions, ladies and gentlemen, sweet dear ones. A fine line between the fifth dimension and the sixth dimension. Doesn't take much to jump over. Not at all. A simple thought, even.
And I would say these are the skills that you can really practice yourself. So just putting it in a very simple example, I communicate a lot with animals. And because I've developed that skill a lot, because it's something I'm so passionate about, it's 100% clear to me now when the thought or the feeling coming into my body, my mind, is that of the animals or whether it's coming from myself. So I always make sure I do sort of a full body scan and really tune in with myself before connecting in with another living being consciously, so that I'm very aware of the difference. And it's a bit like driving the car. When you get taught to drive, you get taught to use both hands and turn the steering wheel a little bit at a time. And once you learn to drive, you go like that. These skills can be very much developed by practice, can't they, Huna?
Yes, absolutely. That's the rule. You got to get into the gym. I got a gym at the house of Huna, a big gym.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, yes, so it's okay. You're going to the thoughts and these processing these thoughts and these feelings to receive the 9 senses, and that's what I'm going to give you for your homework, your 9 senses, to work on those. And of course, is what it is Huna is talking about. Huna Kawahore, what she is talking about, what Catherine is talking about, the animals operate on 9 senses. Okay, beings, obviously, Huna Kawahore is tuned into this as well. So, she's working out with the animals. Who are you working out in the gym with? Just yourself? Or you've got somebody you can work out on these things? The electrical world and the spiritual world merge here. They connect here. They're both very, very important. So get yourself into an electrical gym and start working out.
Fantastic. I love it. This is what it's all about. And the sense of satisfaction when you do it is amazing when you start honing in these skills. Now, Papa Rick, what is light language and do we need to learn it?
Yes, because this is a language that is infinite and limitless. Okay, so there's the expressions of speaking light language is to train yourself to be telepathic. To reinforce and to empower and intensify your telepathics. This is important with light language. It's not just a blurbing it out like you don't understand what's going on and you don't want to know. I want to invite you to want to know what you're saying, okay? It doesn't mean you're going to be up in your head, because you start working with light languages, it brings you outside of your head and you go into the consciousness of space, right? The connection, and it becomes telepathic. And so light language, like I speak the Lemurian more than I speak Maori, even though Maori is a sub-tribe of Lemuria, which is a language that is close to Lemuria. Same with the Mayan, same with several other languages. And it is already here. And it is not only a language. Let me just say, light language is not just the sound, okay? Light language is energy, vibration, and frequency. It is energy, and it moves things. Do you want to move things? Do you want to move people? Do you want to move your highest intentions to bring into humanity to support? Do you want to move that rock over there? Do you want to move the stone over here? And do you want to move the human being who is an organic crystal, which is already a stone? Do you want to move that person into higher vibration? Okay. Though we enjoy the English language because I'm speaking it here, but let me share with you that the English language is a confusing language, and it's set up to confuse you. It doesn't mean what it says. And only very few words within the English language actually really mean it. So you can go all day long, around and around and around in circles with this language. With the light languages, it's very specific to the energy. And you won't only get it from the sound, you will get it from the frequencies of and the vibrations and the magnetics that are held within it. Depending on your mastery of the light language, of knowing what you're saying and translating it, and also because if you speak light language, you're only speaking in with the highest intentions. It only has one direction, and that's up. So let me share that with you, sweet dear ones.
Oh, I love it. I love it. This is great. You guys are asking brilliant questions. I'm going to make sure I persuade Huna to come back, because these lives where people can interact and ask questions are so important to all of us. Yvonne's got a question here, Huna. Is it important to overcome dualism on Earth now? And is there a form of dualism in the universe?
Okay, this question was solved a long time ago. Okay, this is the convergence, right? The dualism, separation back into one. Okay, dual from two to one, returning back to one. Is it important to overcome dualism on the Earth now? Well, why not? What is the story here? Who is the hero in this story of our at the end of the day, or let me say the end of the infinity, which there isn't? What is the story? That we became one. Okay, when can you become one? Well, if we are in the now, of all infinite nows happening right now, then why not overcome dualism right now? All you have to do is tell your consciousness to, hey, it's all one, and there are some tools and modalities and codes I can share with you to help you pull that dualism back into masculine and feminine convergence, into the convergence. It's called, we had been working on the paradigm convergence for a minute, but I would like to share, and this is a good question to share it if you don't mind, Huna. If we can share that screen share that I brought, that I put up.
Absolutely. And The Reality by Jay Rocker, I will be coming to you next. Let me add this in.
Okay. Can you all see this? Okay. This is 1/3 of the Lemurian operating system, and this is known as Wataka, which refers to this is Wataka, and this refers all the codes in here that you see, everything you see. Be my guest, have a good look at it. This is the transmutation. Wataka, transmutation. Wataka means operating system. If you'd like another word, you can say calendar. Okay, this Lemurian system operates from first light starting in winter, counterclockwise, and the last month of the cycle is, in your understanding, is May. In our understanding, it's a different birth sign. And everything, all the birth signs you see here, the animals are birth signs. This is the Lemurian birth signs, okay? They are benevolent light beings. These are not draconian languages stuck up in space and called a zodiac. These are called motu. So you'll see the motu, and they represent, which once was known as a month. We don't speak the month. In fact, time disappears, days disappear, months, minutes, seconds, hours, years, they disappear, and they move into the cycles of energy. And there's a moment for those energies. It's not just hanging around waiting for the sun to come back. There's specific coding in here that transmutes duality back into unification of convergence, and the convergence not only of the DNA and dualism and thought and consciousness, but at the DNA level and into the convergence of light source energy, all the way to 48, but also at a very minimum 24, which 12 represents feminine, 12 represents masculine, and the activation of the 24-strand DNA is to activate and converge these together. That's partly what this system does, okay? And it's 1/3 of 3 parts. This is Wataka transmutation. There is also, which I will be revealing soon, transmutation transition. Okay, so you have Wataka transmutation, Wataka transition, and Wataka transcendence. And each of these items, these three, have a very specific set of codings with them. And that is in the culmination of Wataka, which is the Lemurian light calendar. And so we refer to the light calendar as we follow the light, yes? Now, this is an operating system. So as you are sitting, looking at this and watching and looking at this thing, you are starting to already converge. You will, just sitting here looking at it. And then also go ahead and speak the languaging on here. You can see the words, they're right there. This is the Lemurian language, okay? The infinite expression of light in action. And this is what the Hunas do. We speak the infinite expression of light in action, which refers to no names, nameless, the unlimited ones. And because you are an unlimited, every one of you who are watching here, sweet, sweet dear ones, sweet, dearly beloved, take this in directly into your optics, into your dragon eyes, and process it through, and stand in your power. This is one aspect of what we share in the House of Huna with the Dragon Masters course and the School of Light. So I wanted to share that with that question. It's very important. It is a convergence of intention and a convergence of the DNA. Once you bring your consciousness to it, it can happen now, anytime.
Well, and I would say, I'm going to be asking Huna when we finish to make sure he shares how you can connect and learn more about this, because I've been doing quite a lot of work with Huna, and I am a Huna as well. I've been through the seal ceremony, and it's just fantastic as this integration really moves in, everything becomes clearer. So I love this question. Huna, your take on specifically on this awakening for many that can now contact past souls, the angelics and Native American ancestry, as well as other gifts of knowing and seeing energy.
What's the actual question? I thought that seemed like a comment.
Well, I think he's asking for the thing that people are having these gifts brought to light. What are your feelings on that and why that's happening?
Oh, this is a good thing to know and to recognize and remember. This is a living library, sweet, sweet dear one. This is part of the living library. You are representing all of what was and also what will be. You're not just a descendant, you're also an ancestral potentiality. So connecting into the families, and remember, we are all family. So you are connecting into my families too. The challenge is to come to commanding control of yourself and to listen deeply, feel deeply, connect deeply. And so this is absolutely a must. When you are looking at a totem, do you know what a totem is? We refer to this as a popo, which is a pillar. If you are looking at a totem, you are looking at ancestry. If this is your ancestry or you're reading someone else's ancestry on the totem, this is very fortunate. You are a very, of course, it's the right timing for you. Is this the right timing for you? It's a perfect time right now. And so you take these ancestral gifts and they become love and light in action. Yes, Huna, Francine. I think that answers the question, I hope.
Yeah.
It's more of a comment.
Absolutely. We've got some other really good questions. One of the things that is, I'm just going to bring up an example. We've got a few people asking the same thing. Okay, so there's a lot of talk about, obviously we know, we're on YouTube, so I'm being careful what to say, but we know there's been a lot thrown at humans and all other species and the whole planet to try and stop some of these skills and the use, calcifying our pineal gland, stopping us using our intuition. And a lot of people are talking about whether it's people without a souls or non-playable characters or all sorts of things, where they're saying there's a lot of people on the earth now that don't seem to have that connection intact. Can you talk to that at all, Huna?
Non-playable character. It's a term that comes from video games. Is this the AI?
Well, I think, some are saying AI, some are saying it's that people that look like people, but they don't have a soul and are programmed, this sort of thing. Because obviously there's a huge divide, and also how this plays into mass formation psychosis, and how some people are so in the program and other people, even though we're all programmed, find it easier to at least partially break free.
Okay. Now, there are so many hybrids on the planet. In fact, the last count we had several years ago, that there were about 2 to 3 billion different beings of hybrid and or AI and or cyborg and or super soldier and on the planet. In NPC, this soul, no soul with a program is consciousness. Now, there's a larger context here happening with this. It's actually a lot larger than the small question. There's in the first dimension we speak to it as AI, which refers to authentic intelligence. Mm-hmm. Now, when you are doing ceremony and doing rituals, okay, and you are actually programming, you are coding, you are working with crystals, and you are working with light and water, land, water, sky, and your word is the fire. That's the element that is. It's not an element until you speak. Fire is not an element until you open your mouth or you strike a match or the lightning comes and lights something. That's intention. And so it doesn't matter whether the being is inanimate, okay? But this is also part of what took place in Lemuria 1 and also at the Garden of Eden laboratories, where the beings with no soul were being programmed and input the intentions into them. This is what is happening now. And they are trying to expand this program. They're trying to expand this agenda. And this is the agenda that this agenda is losing, let me say. And simply because we are having more babies, okay? We are having more authentic children of authentic intelligence. Now, these souls, the bodies with no souls, but a programming, which are just like saying robots, right? Can be turned. You can program. Now, this might sound a little bit like, I don't know if I want to listen to Huna anymore, but you can program most items with energy, that has energy. Right? If it's a body with no soul, it's still got energy, and you go through the energy. You can turn this around. If you don't like what did you just say, that question? If you don't agree with a body with no soul and just program it, then reprogram it. Your challenge is to get ready to be able to deliver that. A light warrior, yes, be the light warrior and reprogram to the highest intention. I'm all good with a body with no soul if it's the intention is going to support humanity. In other words, a robot, which also is made and brought together to support humanity. We want this for you, so you don't have to labor for the next 80 years or 50 years. Do we want these understandings? If these understandings are out there, thank you for the question. But my understanding is if it's a body with no soul and it's being programmed or it's programmable, this is what Elon Musk uses at his car plant at Tesla. He's got the robots and he programs them. They don't do anything else. Okay, think about that for a second, because that's accountability and responsibility to humanity. All the tools and all of the knowledge and wisdom is brought forward for us to experiment with and work with and understand. Okay, I don't know if that answers the question. I didn't even know you liked my answer, but
yeah, no, I love it. Now, looking at the time, we've got one more question here from Magda, which I think is useful to everyone. You've got some brilliant questions in the chat. I'm going to invite Huna back on for another live, so please do watch this, because this audience you are really very knowledgeable and coming up with some beautiful questions. We really appreciate you. But this is a beautiful one, I think, to finish with, Huna. Magda, how to open our hearts to connect with our higher selves?
Okay. What age are you? What age are you at this time? How's your body doing? Is your body healthy? How do we open our hearts to connect with our higher selves? Are you energetically ready? If you're at your optimized self, okay? Is your optimized self simply being in the quiet of nature, really feeling yourself and seeing yourself, smelling yourself, touching yourself, and having known yourself, experienced yourself? You know yourself? If you know yourself, okay, open your consciousness to this and be in the stillness. I have this expression. It goes like this, and I always begin with this before I do a practice for somebody, anybody. From the stillness comes the sound. From the sound comes the knowing. From the knowing comes the action. From the action comes the knowing. From the knowing comes the sound. And from the sound comes the silence. From the silence comes the light. Have a practice. You're quite welcome to use that practice. Okay? Be at the water, be on a mountain, be somewhere quiet. Okay? Until you can, and then empower that and intensify that feeling. And then while you're walking, you can connect to your higher self by simply being in the highest intentions. Because your higher self lives in the highest intentions of the dream world. Be in the dream world with your higher self. Walk in the highest intentions. Walk in another world, even though you're in this world. Walk in that world. I do it all the time. Not that is any proof, but I'm just saying. Walk in the dream world, because that's where your higher self is. Your highest imagination of creations for humanity. Be there, and you are connecting to your higher self. And then exemplify that by service and guaranteeing that to humanity, okay? However you would like to materialize that.
I love it. I would like to thank you so much for your time, Huna, and for Ismael for his time. Ismael, for anyone that's late joining us, has had a family emergency and so had to leave early. And I would like everyone in this chat to join us in sending love and prayers to him and his family at this time. So Huna, this is just fantastic. I love the interaction with people. I'm sorry I couldn't get to everyone's questions, but I didn't want to disturb the flow at the minute. So we will get both Huna and Ismael back on when their schedules allow. Now, Huna, what is the best way for people to connect in with you, find out more? And you've got an exciting new interactive event each week that people can join, haven't you?
Yes, I've been. We debuted last night. We have Huna Flash TV, live and interactive. And that's on my YouTube channel, Huna Flash TV at House of Huna on YouTube. We stream live from StreamYard to several platforms. And and it's an interaction where when you ask a question, you have to come on to the screen. It means you have to come into the studio. So we give you a link, you show up, you ask your question in person, and everybody gets to meet you and greet you. And then and there's usually a lineup. And then so you exit after your question, and then the next person comes in and we see each other. We interact. This is an interaction, okay? I absolutely love this call. It's fantastic. It's wonderful always being live. If there's any other information you need, you can go to www.houseofhuna.earth. Okay, this is a brand new website now. Some upgrades to that. And there are courses, the Dragon Masters course, and there are webinars, and there's all kinds of little nuggets there that can support. So a lot of these questions that are being asked really come down to preparation and getting yourself ready and going to the next level. It's not necessarily reliant on a Tesla tower. You are a Tesla tower and you are a walking med bed. You just have to turn it on, and you have the on switch, okay? So thank you, Andrea, for sharing that. And so, sweet dear ones, sweet dearly beloveds, thank you so much. Huna akawahore, amazing to be saying your huna and the action and the light in action that you are doing here. Fabulous. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. If you resonated with this, please do share, because you all know the problems we're having on YouTube at the moment, and I will notify you as soon as I can get these amazing gentlemen back on, either individually or together. Lots of love to everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Wawanui.